Hello everybody, welcome to my very first live stream. Um, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna look at my book that's out today. Here it is. We're gonna flip through that and we'll do a little Q&A, and then I'm gonna do a little demo of one of the drawing projects, so get some supplies so that you can draw along with me. But first I'll give it a minute and see how many people are gonna be here. Brought my best mug for this, look. So I've already had quite a day because I thought we were gonna keep it kind of quiet, but it turns out my husband sent out press kits, and I got a call this morning asking if I wanted to do a TV interview, and then I spent most of the afternoon with a film crew. So I'm just back from that, but that was really awesome, a really cool opportunity. So yeah, let's get a look at the book. Let me see how the camera is. Can everybody see okay? I think so. So here's my cover. I'm very proud of it. It's got really pretty shiny bits on it. So yeah, the book got the nice dedication here. I dedicated this to my husband. Let me see. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, I couldn't see chat. But now I can, so there you guys are. Alright, back to the book. So, right from the start we're at the most difficult part for me, because the publisher asked me to talk about myself for 2 pages. So I did. And then we've got a little piece about how to use the book, which is really, this is the most important part of the whole thing. And here's some stuff about color basics for anybody who needs that. And then we're immediately into the proper projects. But before I go on with that, I'm so happy to see you guys. Like I said, I couldn't see chat before, so I didn't know who was here, but now I do. Did I not show you the book? Tell me when you can see the book. Now we see the book, okay. I think we've got a little bit of lag behind it, and now trying to make that happen. Let me flip a page and see what happens. Oh, it's way behind. Okay. Yeah, let me go back. I'll just slowly flip through the intro pages again. Alright, there we go. We saw it this time, right? So now let's get into the chapters after all. And if you have any questions, just tell me, because we've got a little Q&A after this, so I'll answer them then. And thank you, Kia. I'm really glad you like that. I hope you'll draw something from the book, because I really want to see, and that goes for all of you, I want to see what you draw. So this first chapter, it's mostly the forest things and the animals. So it's secretly my favorite. We've got like a little ghost rat, a little spider, and I think this chapter has sort of also the shorter projects in it, because a lot of these are just single creatures, and later on we're gonna have some much more difficult, complicated projects. Here's the one that we're going to draw today later on. It's a little cat. It's a personal favorite, and it's my husband's favorite, so that's why we're doing that one. Fox and an opossum. And then we've got a mouse and a bunny. And as you can see, a lot of them are about 9 steps. How do you feel about just looking at it? How do you feel about the difficulty of this? Do you think that's pretty manageable to follow? Because that's what I've been curious about the whole time while making this. Gotta have some kittens. Little hedgehog. I believe that's Sandra's favorite. She's here today too as well. Badger. Gotta have a snake. Oh, Paul's making a good point in chat right now when he says if even he was able to do it, then anybody can. Now, I don't know about that because I think he's pretty talented, but he did do his very first drawing ever with my book, and it looked adorable. And he did the same cat we're gonna do. Ah, thank you, Kia. So you like the woodland creatures, huh? And then we've got our Gord Hamlet chapter. This is sort of the monsters, the creatures. So we're immediately getting into a lot of ghosts. Like a lot of ghosts. And I wanted to put in a lot of those as well because I think they're such an easy way to express a lot of feelings. You know, if you're like really happy or really upset, you can draw a ghost with lots of, you know, really expressive little faces like on this one. And just have a perfect way to get your feelings out with a picture. At least that's something I do. Got a little Yeti, that's one of my favorites as well. A little skeleton on a swing. And we had to have a plague doctor. I'm glad you like my ghosts, Kia. I know you like them in general. You've got some really beautiful journal spreads with those in them. But I really want to see you draw one from the book, okay? Also, I like that this one is also drawing a picture of the plague doctor. I thought that was a nice little nod to everybody drawing. This one is the hardest thing in the book for me. This werewolf with the little bows I had the hardest time with for some reason. But I do really like how she came out. And then another personal favorite. This is a lemonade stand. And I think what's going to be fun about this is I'm not looking for people to really do exactly this project. You know, I think people could put a very different character and put lots of different things in it, put in the drinks. And I think You know, those are the probably the most fun projects in there because you can get really creative and decide on some extra different things for yourself to put in there. You've got a little card. And by the way, what do you think about like the design on the edges and stuff? Because I thought that was so cool, the way the designer made all of this. This is so pretty because I just drew some patterns and then she made it into this whole book. It was so cool. Oh, hi Mike. Nice to have you. You're getting some Marcy overdose today because I know you just finished watching the doc. Here's one of... You like the wagon, Kia? Oh, that's awesome. You're the first person to say that's their favorite. And then we've got... I'm looking at one of Paul's favorites again, the Girl Scout. I really like her too. And then we've got a nice garden mummy. I relate to this a lot right now because I'm working in the garden every day and I wear dresses and skirts, so I get stuck on the fence constantly. So it's very personal drawing, this one. I'm glad you don't think there's such a thing as too much Marcy, Mike. I'm not sure everybody agrees with that, but that's very nice of you to say. And then we've got a very nice fire glow here. And that was actually one of the most interesting things to make a tutorial about, because I had to sort of have people paint the glowy fire bit first. But I made these steps digitally, so I had to scan the painted part of the painting and then sort of digitally stick it into the digitally made picture, and it was a whole thing. So I hope you're proud of the 3 projects that have glow in it, because that was a whole thing. Here's the coziest project. We've got cookies and stuff. 'Cause we gotta have some cookies in there, obviously. It's supposed to be a comfort book. And then one of my favorites, but I tested it on a friend and she didn't quite get it, so I wonder if you guys will. This is like kids doing Ouija, and then the ghosts are supposed to be invisible to them, and then they're just moving the pointer and blowing out the candles and stuff and teasing the kids. So I really like that one. I like the ones that are extra funny. Here's our first one that's multiple pages. We're not done by this part. There we go. This is a very long one because it's a whole bedroom. And it's just someone having a nice cozy evening who thinks that she's alone in there, and she really is not. So I hope you'll have a nice evening tonight just thinking about that. Probably a ghost in your closet. I thought you might like that ghost, Mike. Thank you. And here's the same skeleton and the same werewolf that we've seen before, but now they're having a sleepover. It's another kind of longer one. I think they've edited it to go like from the easiest difficulty to the hardest throughout. And I think that's so clever because I didn't turn them in that order at all. Yeah, I like the one in the nightstand as well. This one I relate like to the little werewolf girl, I think. Just chilling in her blanket. Something I do a lot. Have you guys seen anything that you want to... Oh wait, Kia did say she wants to draw the wagon. What about the rest of you? What do you want to draw? Doesn't have to be from the book either, just something you want to make. Oh, and I genuinely think that everybody can do these, especially if you start with like one of the easier ones that's just like, let's do some circles, you know. Once you've picked up on sort of just how to do the basics, how to get the basic shapes in, then after that you should technically, I think, be able to draw most things. Well, we're doing the mummy kitty today, so go grab some paper and we're gonna do that in a bit. You can do it right now. And I'm gonna hold you to that, Paul. You're gonna draw the lemonade stand. Maybe with me, that would be fun. So now let's look at the Hollow Lanes chapter. I'm trying to keep it so the light doesn't hit it so much, but it's difficult because it's the stormiest of days today and it's so dark. Oh, I'm so glad you think it does look simpler now that it's in steps. That's really the hope, because I've heard so many people say that they really want to draw and they think it's so hard and they don't really know where to start. So I hope that this is the where to start bit that can really help people get going on it. There's nothing wrong with melted candles either. Just appreciate the drawing process, it'll be fun. So yes, I got distracted, but Hollow Lanes, this is locations and stuff. So we're gonna have a graveyard and a pumpkin patch and a lot of houses and stuff. See, how about this? Nice, this is like the easier step to do a house. And you know, this is another one, like, you could have any kind of shape to the roof and to the windows and stuff. You can get really creative with this without it getting difficult, I think. And then we've gotta have a pumpkin house, like right here. And then we've got a nice mushroom house. Oh, I put myself in front of the hold on. Pumpkin house. Can you tell it's my first live stream? This is so difficult. With all the aiming and stuff. Got a Baba Yaga house. Sandra was among us in the chat, she has this one. I hope you love it still. I like this one because the little skull, and also it looks like it has a face because it has legs. So it looks really alive. It's very fun. Mushroom House reminds me of the Smurfs as well. Yeah, Baba Yaga. And I also felt like the weather was just for me. It's so nice. But it is dark, so I've got to have a whole lot of light on. Oh, I'm glad, Sandra, that's good. So here we are at the boutique one. That's just the best pun in the book, probably. But also, I like the idea that a ghost could have some way to stand out still with like a fancy sheet or something. Oh, so it's stormy for more of you. That's amazing. We're just having a nice gloomy day for all of us. This one we're starting on a coffee truck. And this would be a fun prompt that, you know, at one point I had to think of a whole bunch of spooky names for Kia's art challenge, actually. Because I took a prompt to do a video for her, and it was Spooky Cafe, and I made a whole signboard with spooky drinks. So now I've got like Spookachino and stuff, all these spooky coffee names. So that's actually where this idea came from. So Kia, you gave me that idea. Thank you, Paul. Yes, I like the coffee truck as well, even though the truck part is probably not that realistic. Just a nice classic spooky house again. These people grow really good pumpkins. These people as well. Got a pumpkin patch. And a nice little bird family. It's one of the things I think the book could have used is even more birds, but maybe in a second one. Oh, just a drizzle for you. That's nice too, except for Paul. Paul's not going to agree, he hates a drizzle. But I like it, it's cozy. So now this one, It's another complicated one, but this one starts with, as you can see, literally just an oval. So I think actually to get to the end is not that hard, but we've got a nice ghost ship. And this one, it's one of the other ones with the glow in it. So these projects with the glowy bits for me were like 3 times as difficult to make because of the computer part of it. But I do think I didn't want to leave that out because my own favorite pieces are usually the ones with like fun light effects and things. Then we've got Candy Shop. This one has a real good option to like make up your own spooky treats and things, because I think that would be an extremely fun thing to do as well. And I like the window. But what do you think? What kind of a spooky treat would you put in this? Drizzles do get in your glasses, to be fair. Paul has a point. Oh, picnic. Picnic is one of my favorites. Maybe because I like picnics. But this is just another... This is like a more emotional one, you know, because it's difficult to lose someone, and then in this little world, everybody can just sort of get back up and still go for a picnic. And I think that's cute. Friendships can be forever. Then we've got a nice skull house. Oh yeah, I would love to have a stained glass window in my house as well. That would be amazing. Skull house finished. This is actually, in the book it doesn't look that big, but in real life this was, I believe, the biggest drawing of the lot, because I wanted to make sure I got all the detail in on the little mice. And then this Reaper one, we're gonna start on like a triangle. I think. Oh, thank you, Mike. I'm glad you like the picnic too. Yeah, I think it's sort of a comforting. The whole book I'm trying to make sort of comforting and relaxing, because like with this one, you're gonna see this is a Reaper who's feeding a bunch of birds and stuff. I'm kind of trying to say with the book that if you're having a hard time, there's still things you can do to try and make it a little bit better, like taking care of nature and just taking things easy and stuff. So I like the projects the most that have that kind of a message to them. Can't believe I've already flipped us to the last chapter here. That went so quickly. But this is the Spooky Celebrations, and this was my most favorite chapter image, I think. Just because we've got, it's hard to see it because of the brightness of these lights, but this has really cool colors with like the red and green and purple lights and stuff. And also just, I like the vampire at all times. She's my favorite character. I've drawn her so much. Oh, thanks for the pre-order, Steve. I saw you on the, I could see the people who were on the list for the pre-order download, so I saw you. So I was like, hey, Steve. Thanks for coming today. I'm glad you appreciate the glow as well, Mike, because I do too, and that's the part of the drawings that takes the longest by a long shot. Just because you've got to layer it a bunch. Well, here's your candle one. If you're worried about things looking like a melty candle, you could start with this guy and just actually do melty candles. How about that? I like that one as well. It's just so 90s goth, you know. I used to, as a teenager, I really wanted to have like a skull with candles on. And then we've got one of the coziest, and this one now really makes me want to learn how to do a pumpkin hat, because I want a pumpkin hat. And then, let's see, got a nice stamp. This one is a little bit different because I wanted to put in a couple ones with just flat colors than with like markers, because I know not everybody's gonna want like watercolor and wet ink and stuff, because that can be a little overwhelming. So these two, they're specifically marker projects. This little ghost as well. This is one of my favorites because I like the idea that ghosts would also dress up for Halloween and have a really fun time there. Yeah, I think everybody needs a pumpkin hat. And I'm gonna hold you to that as well, Mike, just like Paul. Show me the candles later. Because it's gonna be brought up in the Q&A, but the most exciting thing for me about getting to make this book is just that I'm gonna be able to see what everybody else makes with it, and I'm so excited for that. So, classic pumpkin, had to have that. And then on this side, a little bit less classic Christmas stocking. I've kind of gone, I realized, with really Western holidays, although there's a lot of seasonal stuff in as well. But I hope most people still appreciate that. Nice little snowman. And then an Easter Reaper who's like dressed like the Easter Bunny. And I know at least one of you owns a skeleton, so this is a nice idea for dressing up your actual skeleton that you have. Gotta have a doggy after all the cats. Oh no, we've had a dog before, we had a skeleton dog. But this one's alive, which is also cute. Then we have another personal favorite. This is probably a hot chocolate, but like the smile on this cup is just the cutest. Also, I own a whole collection of Halloween mugs, which is why we have the kitty mug. But this mug, if I could have that, I would love that so much. So I'm genuinely considering learning how to do that, just so I can make my own mugs as well. So anyway, that's why that's a favorite. More pumpkins, but now we're carving them. And this I thought was such a fun sort of transitional project for people who've like started doing just a little ghost or just a little pumpkin. So now you know how to do those. Now we're going to combine them into something a little bit more complicated. Yes, the marshmallows, right? I loved. Did everybody see that? Because they're screaming and they're really terrified of being eaten, and it's one of my favorite things as well. Humor's really important to me, if you didn't know. Then we've got a nice Halloween Polaroid, and my thinking for that and what I hope other people are gonna do with this is that they'll put themselves or their kids or partners or whatever into this and put their favorite costumes on it, because what would be a more fun way to remember your Halloween activities than to draw what you look like that year? So I think, because that's what I do with drawing a lot personally in my private life, is I like to draw these little things in my life to help me remember them, and I think that's amazing. Yes, that ghost does look a little bit like just, yeah, sure, okay, you're right. Gotta do the Christmas, of course. I have drawn this little Reaper dressed up for, I think, all of the big holidays, really. And it's just so fun to do that, because has anybody seen like the BBC Hogfather miniseries? Because that is about death, and he needs to take over holidays, and it's really, really funny. So that's why I started doing this. Then we've got a nice lady who's using her magic to stack her pumpkins. Because that's what I would do. If I could do magic, I would just decorate my house with my wand. That would be fun and easy. Here's one of Paul's favorites that I know that he said is the Christmas tree. And it was fun. I kept these projects. I remember keeping the Christmas ones for Christmas. So I drew these in December when I was in the mood for that kind of thing. Oh, I love that you've seen that, Sandra. And the rest of you, if you like the kind of art that I do and you like the humor in it, you need to try the Hogfather miniseries because it is incredibly funny and it's got all the spooky stuff. And just try it. See if you can find it somewhere. It's worth it. Oh, here's one of my own other favorite pieces. Just a leaf pile. And the hands look a little bit funny, and I regret that a little bit because actually the hands are like bent like this, like a claw. But it's only visible when you're really up close to it. But it's still one of my favorites because I got to do the leaves. Just these nice orange leaves, they make me happy. And then more Halloween decorating. Because that's still the best. I don't know about you guys, but actually I've got Halloween decorations up just always. But I still add a couple extras for Halloween still. Here's a nice snow globe. For those of you who've known me a little bit longer, you might know that snow globes were my first thing that I did all the time. So I had to keep one of those in. Here my little vampire kid's back. And she's gonna have her little doll dressed up for Halloween. I think most of you will have seen my original piece with her where she's asleep in her coffin with that doll. So I wanted to do a little nod to that as well. Then we've got birthday, because obviously we want people to be able to record their birthday as well. Just all the little presents. Yes, I do remember the cutouts where you could like make little dress-up dolls, and actually I think last year was the last time I made one. I like to do those still. I'm a really big fan. Thank you, Steve. But yes, dress-up dolls. I'm actually thinking about making another. I want to do a little Halloween project pack for my Patreon people. And I might put a little doll in it and some other little crafts because I really want to design some crafts. Yeah, paper dolls are the best. Then we've got one of a witch who was making cider. Although actually my publisher renamed that to soup, so I guess it's apple soup now. Oh, you're right, Mike. It's a really good idea to have sort of different decorations because it is, you can redress the little doll, so that's really adorable. Cider, and then had to have like a house being decorated for Halloween. And this is another one that I really like a lot. It was kind of a shame that they didn't really have the option with the steps to put the final picture in a little bit bigger, but I do think this is one of the coolest ones because it just has so much going on, and also you could really apply your imagination to it and decide what you would, decorate a house with. I think that's so fun. Oh, you put a Santa hat on your ghost. That's really cute. Where do you keep those? Yeah, I do want to make like little outfits for my Reaper guy. I'm gonna try that. Remind me if I forget, because that sounds like fun. And then for the final section of the book, this is a little bit different. We've done some coloring pages. Because actually, at first we sort of discussed putting a gallery of my own work in, or some coloring pages, and in the end I thought coloring pages sounded better. So that's what we've done in the end. And I also feel like this is such a good next step for the coloring book people who really are into that kind of stuff now, because that's really popular currently. And I think a lot of people, they might like to learn how to draw sort of their own coloring pages, because that's really what that is. Oh, it's so nice to have your ghost in your office. That's cute. I have a ghost in mine. I made it out of a doily. You can just cut a little shape out of a doily and put eyes on it, and it's a ghost. That's really cute. More coloring pages, and that brings us all the way to the end already. With like a beautiful back picture. And this one's a little bit damaged because I used the damaged version today. But that was the whole book. What was your favorite part of it, guys? Tell me what you're most excited for. And then, in the meantime, I've got the project that we're gonna make. And I'm gonna show you. It is this guy. Let me angle it right. This kitty is what we're gonna be making. So I'm gonna put it to the side a little bit. And we're gonna do a Q&A first, so you can gather your materials if you wanna draw along with me. But this is what we're gonna do, and you're gonna gather some materials for that. What you're gonna need is some waterproof pen, ideally 2 thicknesses, but 1 will do if you need, if you don't have another one, but waterproof, and then whatever you like for coloring, and some appropriate paper for what you'll be drawing. I've got some nice watercolor paper, but if you've got like markers, you won't need that. And then a pencil and an eraser. So go grab that if you want to draw along. It'll be fun. You'll need 2 colors if you want to do that. It's like, we've got sort of a creamy beigey, just an old damaged color, and then a medium, sort of grayish, brownish, purplish shade, whatever you like. So go look for that, and then in the meantime, we will have the little Q&A bit. You can just do pencil, Mike. You can shade it with the pencil. That shouldn't be a problem. You don't own a pencil, Kia? That's funny. I never would have thought. Do you not sketch with like something you can erase? Because that's so brave. That's amazing. That's actually incredible. Sip of tea. So as for the Q&A, it's not going to be very long. Okay, we're testing the other camera and the other microphone. Let me know if you can hear me at this point. Am I back? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Nope. Husband, can you fix that? Oh. I'm gonna have to pause this, guys, because I don't know how to fix this. Alright, how about now? Tell me when you can hear me again, because it should be back. So my proper camera gave out for a second and I tried to replace it with my webcam, but it didn't do it. But it is reset, so I hope it works again. Alright, I am back. Good. Here we are again. Did you miss the entire Q&A? Something had to go wrong, right? So yeah, long story short, for the first question, my favorite thing about the book is that I think I did succeed in making it something that everybody can follow and everybody can do, so that they can then continue to draw their own things that they want to make. So that's my favorite part. That was my favorite part about making it. And then, now that it's out, my favorite part, as you might have noticed from me asking you to draw all kinds of things, my favorite part is gonna be seeing what everybody else makes with it. Because for me, I think it's just another way to connect with people, you know, to see what touched them and what they thought was the best thing and what they want to do with it. And I think that's just going to be so incredible to see what people came up with for themselves. So you all better show me what you make. I don't care what it looks like. I just want to see what your imagination came up with. So show me things. And then second question I had, but I've kind of already answered it actually, is what my goal is for the book. And that is to make drawing less intimidating for people who are new to it. Because something that happened when we got the first printed copy, which was the best thing, by the way, that was the best day of my life probably, sorry Paul, I know we're married, is, but we took it to my in-laws and my mother-in-law looked at it and she said, hey, I think I might even be able to learn how to draw from this. And she had never thought that she could before. So just knowing that, seeing that explained actually helped for her made me so excited for more people to feel that way. Because I really do, I think drawing or painting, or at least some kind of creativity, and I think Kia will agree with us, is that that should be for anybody who wants it. If you want to express yourself, if you feel like that would be fun, I think you should be able to do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like super professional or the best thing ever. It just has to be good enough to express what you want to express with it. And as long as you're having fun with that, that's just awesome. So that's really, really what I want with it. And I will not laugh at any of you for making the pictures, I promise. So does everybody have their drawing tools now? The ones that you had? Let me see if that camera works as well now, and demonstrate. Alright. So here's my paper. And the first thing you're going to want to do, as you can see in this step over here, is just a peanut, kind of. And we're going to do it a little bit sideways. And go a little bit towards the middle of your paper, just to make sure that you can put the rest of the kitty in. And I'm probably not going to make it look the same as I normally would. I'm just going to wing it as well, just like you guys are. Let me actually do this a little bit thicker because I've just realized you can't see it all that well. A little bit thicker, there we go. And then we're gonna do the kitty's face on it, and we want to give that a little bit of a tilt, okay? So it's gonna land like sort of on the peanut here, but we're gonna do it a little bit sideways. And just don't press too hard, because if you don't quite like where it's gone, then you can just go over it again, do it a little bit different. Now we're gonna put little triangles for ears. See, that's a little bit crooked, but it's okay. Not a big deal. And we're gonna give it a little yawny face. And its eyes are gonna be closed. Because, you know, cats can stretch, man. I love watching a cat stretch. Because they just look so relaxed doing it. Then when you've got your face on your kitty, you're gonna add some front paws. And guys, I don't know exactly how many minutes this camera will work. Ooh, made a mistake. So we're just gonna try to draw kitty, and if it does cut out, I hope you guys have seen enough of this shot to be able to do that for yourself and add it in. Second little paw. And we're gonna connect that to here. And we do a back leg, and what you want to do with your back leg is make sure that it lands at the same point as the front legs do, because that's where your floor is. And Kitty is leaning back a little bit. I can feel the stretch in my own spine if I look at it. So I think that's really funny. And just the tiniest bit of a second foot. Tell me if I'm going too fast or anything. We're going to add a tail to the kitty, and I think the best point to start is along with this back curve of the cat, so that you can kind of see where you're going with it. There you go. And kind of try to keep it the same thickness throughout, but it's not a big deal really. And then we're going to go for something that's a little bit more complicated to all do, but we're going to add bandages to the kitty. And then here on his tail we'll do a little piece that is hanging loose, because that's the last piece of the bandage. And from there on you're just going to add a bunch of lines. And the only thing you want to keep in mind when doing these is you want them all to be curved, because this is how you're going to show that the cat has depth to it, that it has a shape. Because if you made these lines straight, then the cat would not have as much depth to it. So just add a bunch of little bandage lines, and I don't think it really matters as much where they go, except on the face. I think it does look nicest if you alternate them a little bit so that they form a little braid on the front of the face. I know it's looking a little bit confusing now because we've got the peanut body still shining through here, but we're going to erase that later. And I'm gonna say now that you could be skipping this pencil step for this, because we are gonna cover it up with a pen in a little bit. There we go. That's a lot of lines in it. Yeah. But I mean, Mike says his is looking horrible on his end, but I have a hard time believing that. I think it's gonna be cute. It's just gonna be an unusual kitty, Mike. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit unusual. Right? I hope Paul's drawing as well in the other room, because he's around to help me troubleshoot, but he's around. Even though he's done this kitty before, and he drew his like on a full sheet. I was so impressed, because drawing bigger is usually a little bit more difficult, but my husband's just like, let me do this on a full sheet. And he did a fantastic job. If you go on my Instagram, you can still see it and see what a good job he did. I was so proud of him. You got a really long cat. See, that's great. That's fine. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a really tall person, and we think I'm cute, right? Just tell me I'm cute. I'm gonna move on from that. But there's nothing wrong with a very long cat. Or pretend it's a dachshund, maybe. Alright, so if you've got your sketch. Yes, you are difficult, Paul, but aren't we all in this house anyway? So what you want to do for drawing the actual lines, and let me move the book a little bit so you can see, is we're just gonna go over the whole thing, this thing. We're gonna go over it with markers, and you're gonna do the bandage lines. If you've got two different pen thicknesses, you're gonna make the bandage lines a little bit thinner than the rest of them. That's not necessary, but it makes it a little bit less busy. So if you have them, use them. Ah, Mike gave his cat probably a small head. That's fine too. It's still gonna be cute. Can you still see my drawing? Yes, you can. Alright. So we're gonna just start going over all the lines again, but this time with a marker. But you're gonna leave out, probably obviously, the lines like this part of the peanut that we just covered up. Don't put those in anymore. Leave those out. And we're just gonna do all the lines of the kitty again. And I'm still worried that our camera might cut out before we're finished here, so I hope you've got the gist of the kitty. Let me just thank you for coming now in case I don't get to say it properly, alright? So we're doing the little yawn and the little squinty eyes. I swear all the cute cartoon faces, they're just a bunch of little circles and curves and triangles. It's give that a shot, draw some little faces if you want, and that's just really, really fun. And we're just gonna keep on trucking with all those lines. And I have no idea how this pace is for you guys, but I think, like I said, in case the stream ends, because the camera's died, I need to be kind of quick about this so that you guys can see how to do the whole thing. Taking notes will work, and I hope this is just about sharp enough that if you watch a replay of this, that you can still look at it and see what happens in all the steps. And if not, then on my Instagram, I have done the little ghost with the pumpkin hat as well. I've shown those steps in a little video, so you could take screenshots of that and try that one as well. But it's a little bit different from a live demonstration, I realize. I've got my smaller pen for my bandage lines. And this is, by the way, one of the reasons I did want to do the live stream and why I did put a project on my Instagram, because I know these are ridiculously difficult times in the prime of capitalism. I know not everybody can probably buy the book. So I did want to give people a couple of opportunities to still do some of these projects, even if they couldn't buy the book. So we're going to put the replay of this on YouTube as well, so that people can all give this a little bit of a shot if they want to. And guys, I'm so curious to see how many books I've sold, because for me it was like, when I was asked to do it immediately, I had no idea if this was something that was gonna be seen by 100 people or by 10,000 people. And that hasn't changed. I still don't know. And I'm so curious. But you know, as long as at least one person has gotten something out of this and has decided to give drawing a shot if they want to do it, then that's going to make me really happy. Because when the TV person showed up today to interview me, he asked me a couple times, like, do you feel like you're kind of putting yourself into a bad spot by teaching everybody to draw the way that you do? And I was like, dude, I had never thought about that, because it's kind of like my dream. I want to be able to show everybody how to do this and help them do it. And I want everybody to be able to express themselves creatively and have fun drawing, because it's really healthy for you as well. It puts you in, like, I believe we call that a flow state, where you just are focused on your one thing that isn't your phone and really relax. And you can really stay in the moment with it. But now I'm really scared to make the camera shake while I'm erasing this. We seem to be doing it right. Do you all pretty much have your cat at this point? Can I continue to the coloring bit, or do you want me to wait a second? And I'm sure all of yours are cute, guys, and I would love to see them if you've got a way to show me. Oh, thank you, Kia. I'm glad you think that my style is still going to be, unique, because I do think that my goal isn't really for people to do exactly what I do, but to learn how to do it their way and to do what they would like to do. And that's what I really want. So now I'm going to pull in my paints. Yes, I would love for you to tag me on Instagram stories, and I'm also, I've got the hashtag CreepyCuteDrawingClass, so anything you do with that, if you put that hashtag on it, that's going to be great as well. So now I'm going to color my kitty, and I've got watercolors, so I'm going to do a really soft creamy color. And then again, just in case we cut out, I want to tell you first that for the shading on it, the most important part you want to do is just make sure that all your shading is on the same side of the kitty. So it's on the bottom and on the right. So if there was a light hitting the kitty, it would be coming from right here. So everything on this side would be lighter, everything on this side would be darker. But for the first step, I'm just gonna paint us sort of a vague. Every time I've demonstrated this kitty, I've given it like a different color bandage, because I'm just mixing my watercolors. Today we're going a little bit more brown, I see. But that's fun, isn't it, as well? I think something that's so fun about drawing is it's gonna be different every single time you do it. Even if you do the same picture over and over, it will look different, and that's just something that makes it special. It's like unique by its very nature. There I go. Now in my case, I'm just gonna give it a little moment to dry and take a sip of tea. Yeah, I hope you guys didn't hear the dog too loud. He's been more quiet than I was expecting him to be. Let's just be thankful for that, because he's a big dog. Got some nice chamomile tea, by the way. It's very delicious. So, we've got a really long cat, we've got a really skinny cat. How's everybody's cat doing? And what are you coloring with, if you're coloring? I've got my paint ready to add. Well, at least I think I've got my paint ready. Let me test that on a secret test sheet to the side. Just gonna add a little bit of shading to the kitty. Yes, this would be the same dog that you saw in the little documentary that I put up last week. So, I'm shading Kitty. Are you ready? So we're gonna shade the whole thing, but we're gonna skip the little bandage bit because that is sticking out further. So actually, I'm already doing this wrong. That's too much paint. If you've got watercolor like me, you can just wipe that off, so that's really nice. There we go. Do that again, add some shading to it. Except for the bandage, like I said. It's the bottom of the tail, but then the bottom of the tail is now on the right when you're on this part of it. So this is one of the interesting things about depth. And then his butt, I keep painting next to the lines because we're on video, of course. You put a little smile, Kia, that's adorable. And just underneath the foot, and then you're gonna notice a little mistake I made in the book because this foot, because it's in the back, we're gonna shade the foot. And also, oh, pro markers, I love pro markers. And also the Tombos, like the water-based markers, I think are so fun. Actually, if a lot of you are interested in just starting coloring things, water-based markers are so fun because you can use them as they are, but you can also wet them and then make a sort of watercolor effect, and you can use that to mix them, so it's really, really fun. Then some shading on the little face. That would be underneath the chin and stuff. And this shading sort of technique, people are sometimes like intimidated by adding lighting to things, but that's really all it is. Make sure that the shadows are all on one side and it'll look great. And you can pick a side, whatever side you want, just as long as it's all on the same one. I've got really, really dark shadows on it today because I wanted to make sure that you guys can see this properly. There we go. And a little bit of shading on the belly, and that is my kitty finished. Oh, thank you for asking, Mike. We can talk about that while the rest of you finish your cats. I hope you like mine. The reason I started drawing like this, because actually Mike knows this, but some of you might not. I used to do realistic portraiture, but I started really, really wanting to just do something with more imagination to it and something that I could sort of connect to on a more interesting level than just, hey, this is someone I know, this is someone I admire. And I also just wanted something I could do a little bit quicker. So I just started going by the things that I had an interest in, which has always been things like Goosebumps and stuff, you know, the children's horror, creepy stuff I've always been into. So I think it was 2018 or so, pretty late actually, when I thought, let's just try drawing some of the creepy stuff. And I did that for Inktober. In the month of October, I did a drawing a day, 31 of them, and never looked back. From then on, that was what I did. And I started selling prints, and I opened a little shop, and ultimately got emailed by a publisher asking me if I wanted to make a book. So that's how that ended up here. And I do, as far as the realistic portraits go, I absolutely still love them, and I secretly do them a little bit still, and I sneak some realistic textures into my paintings. It's just, I think at this point I very rarely have the time, and I think that was something I had to think about for a long time before starting, was whether I wanted to kind of give that up for the most part, and I do sometimes miss it. Paul says it was 2016-17 that I started doing this. I see. So guys, Yes, I've always liked the creepy cute stuff, and then I'm like dating myself here, but I used to be really into like Emily the Strange as well and Ruby Gloom. Do you guys remember? Like, what was the creepy cute stuff that was popular when you guys were growing up? You've got your Tim Burton, you know, that was all the sort of stuff that I was into. But I really did want a book like this growing up, looking for, you know, sort of explanations on not how to draw like a little sheep or whatever, but to draw the creepier stuff. And I didn't find it back then. So I hope if a new generation is like, I want to learn that, that they'll find this book. And how are the kitties coming along? I hope by the end of the live stream, some of you will tag me and show me how the cats are looking. Mike asks if I would ever showcase a realistic portrait to show people that I can do that, and it's like, yeah, maybe. I think I might. I actually don't think that my current audience, at least on social media, would be interested in it because it's so different. But it is such a big part of me still. It's still something, because I didn't touch on it today, but I have autism, and as a kid, what used to really calm me down was to just draw things as realistically as possible and really zoom in on them and stuff, and it has meant a lot to me growing up. So, sure, I would still show that to people, yeah. I'm glad you're happy with your cat, Kia. And a little smudge is okay. I've put a whole shadow behind the kitty's butt in mine. That's alright. Because we still had fun and it's still cute. But guys, I think I'm gonna be smart about this and cut this off before the camera does, because it is about to. So, thank you so much for coming to the live stream. Please leave me a DM or a comment if you have any questions about drawing, about the book, about any of that stuff, because honestly, I would love to help you with anything, and I wanna help you have the most fun that you can with my book. I don't want you to like get stuck on things, so let me know if there's anything you want to know. All right? Let's do that. And I hope you'll tag me in your cat drawings before I forget about that. So for now, we're gonna call this a day, and thank you so much for coming to my live stream. This has been a blast. See you guys later.